Hey, Stoney here with another exciting update to the game of Mechabellum. And what you're looking at here is the new 100 supply chaff unit called the Hound. Now, for a more detailed look at the Hound unit, please take a look at the official Mechabellum video right here on your top right. But for now, I'm going to jump right into a game and show you how the Hound works on the battlefield. Let's go. All right, at the bottom here, I am playing as a supply specialist, and my opponent, Mr. Sparty, is playing as an improvise specialist. I started with steel balls and fangs, and Sparty already has the new Hound with his steel balls. I actually really like the combination between the Hound and the steel balls. Not only they kind of travel at the same speed, but most importantly, the Hounds are just so much better versus the Mustang when it comes to chaff clear, and they themselves also tend to survive a little bit longer. So they make for the perfect partner for the steel balls. Later on, you can always take fire or incendiary bomb and clearing the path for the steel balls to connect with the large units. There's also another potential move that you can play by taking the light unit targeting on the Hound, which Sparty currently does not run, and then take the heavy targeting on the steel balls, and maybe that's something that we can explore in the future. All right, starting on round one, both of us are kind of going aggro. I find the Hounds to be more effective in a aggro formation versus in standard, primarily because of his range. It actually has less range than Fans, which means if both are getting range upgraded, the Hounds will just have 5 meters less range versus your standard Fans. All right, round one, we have sort of an opposite clockwise movement. All right, round two, we got the arclights, which I thought would be pretty good. Now, one thing to note is that the Hounds, they have 846 HP. So if you take the arclight at its base level, it would take 3 shots from an arclight just to kill a single Hound. And for 100 supply units, that is fantastic. And that just means the arclight is no longer the most efficient chaff clear when the Hounds are in play. What is really good against Hounds? Well, surprisingly, marksmen are now a little better because there's only 5 units of Hounds. So compared to fans and crawlers, marksmen can actually do okay. Any sort of medium size or anti-medium units like the Scorpion or the Raiden, they are also pretty good into the Hound. So you almost treat the Hound sort of in between a actual chaff and a pack of sledgehammers. And by the way, Sledgehammer also has 5 units, so it's fairly comparable. I've added a single rate because I didn't expect my opponent to take any anti-air whatsoever. Trying to cheese my way out of this. There's already a level on the Hound, and level 2, they have, wow, 2030, and this with the small amp core, so that's a 20% increase in HP. Without the amp core, I think they're coming down to just under 1700, I believe. All right, round 3, we got a few pretty nice items. Advanced Missile is pretty useful, especially when we're both going aggro. Missile Strike simply takes out a pack of chaff. Rhino Assault gets all the way into the back here, and being aggro players, nobody defends the back line anyways. For me, it's going to be the Missile Strike, and my opponent took the Advanced Missile. The Advanced Missile will grant Sentry Missile 15,000 damage, which means it will bring this Wraith down exactly to 1 hit point, allowing this Mustang simply to pop it. All right, I'm buying more level 2 hounds for its durability, and now I'm going to tech it. The hounds themselves at some point can actually become a carry units because of its damage. So here's the 1 HP rate, which means that it has the option to actually beat steel balls if you have enough of them. And the problem with the steel ball into hounds is that hounds are 100 supply units and steel balls are 200. So you really want to make sure that you're getting ahead economically. And here you see the inefficiencies of the arclight onto the hounds. It just takes so many shots to get through them. All right, we got Wasp Swarm, we got Advanced Powering System. They're pretty good all around. Took the Nano. I think I'm going to want to add some level 2 steel balls with the Nano. It become a little bit more difficult to deal with for his Hound. Right now, the only units that can kill these steel balls is probably his own steel balls. So I want to keep it that way. More Hounds from Sparty, and now with the Incendiary Bombs. The Incendiary Bombs are great versus small chaff units and Mustangs, but with the Hound that has 1600 HP, it's less effective. It's still good though. I mean, it's still reducing the Hounds, but less so versus other chaff units. All right, one of these packs is already level 3 and it's dealing 961 damage per unit per shot, and that is quite a lot of damage. He hasn't taken Mech Rage yet, but when he does, there's going to be a bit of a problem with this unit. Now, so far, I found the Hound to be superior to a Mustang in almost every way except the inability to shoot up. I love to have my Hounds with steel balls. I love to have my Hounds with my fortresses. I love to have my Hounds with sabertooth. And this is something that you're going to show you this term. One of the things I've discovered how Hound can kind of play into this game is to take the sabertooth and the side cannon. The Hounds themselves actually provide a beautiful string in front of the sabertooth. Sabertooth with slightly higher range of 95. So Hound becomes almost like a cheap sledgehammer alternative into giants like the Melting Point, which is really deadly into an unranged sabertooth because you want to make the side gun work. So in this case, I'm taking the sabertooth primarily for the steel balls. The side gun actually works really well into medium-sized units, and the Hound will naturally walk in front of them and providing a bit of tanking. There's no plans for me to take range just yet, just because I want to make sure that these guys are in front of the big saber. And at the same time, I'm putting down squads of Mustangs, and this is where you can see how effective or ineffective the AM is. I'm going to slow this down for you. Like, there's barely any chance for the Mustangs to intercept the fire. Like, every single fire, except maybe like 2 rockets, landed. It's just so fast. So I'm not entirely sure if the developers are going to keep that rocket in the game like this, or they will make some changes, at least reduce the speed that it travels. Because right now, if you're running Mustangs into Hounds with fire, you guarantee to lose. All right, we got laser sight. Laser sight could actually work well onto the Hound or onto Mustangs. All right, we're going to have sabers on the side. Saber with side gun, you can almost see them as a double shot saber or slightly weaker double shot saber. The benefit gained from the side gun is, of course, multi-unit targeting. But it should be more than enough to take on a level 1 Rhino. Missiles here to clear out the chaff. Okay, so we're going to add the level 3 Hound with the laser sight. So these guys can actually be a carry unit, helping out with these level 2 steel balls with nano. But everybody else is still on range, 70 meters, hopefully running in front of the sabertooth to tank these steel balls. I've added oil, mostly just to stop these steel balls from coming in too quickly. Lots of missiles being added. Now, while the Mustangs do not stop effectively the incendiary bombs, they are pretty good into sentry missiles. So I'm hoping this is what I have. And also, Sparty is abusing the missile because of his advanced missile device card. I think that should be okay. All right, here we go. All right, both missiles got destroyed, but once again, we're not able to stop the fire from these initial hounds. All right, flanks were taken care of. The steel balls still coming in pretty strong. We have not a target lock on the steel balls, which is really sad. And in general, just poor chaff clear, because my primary chaff clear units, which are my hounds, they run a little bit too far ahead, which means I would need something to shoot behind my sabertooth. And that something is probably going to just be Mustangs. We got a vision light. And since we're primarily into hounds and sabertooth and Mustangs, I think that's a pretty good card. We are, however, in round 7. It takes 7 units, which is about 2.5 rounds with additional recruitment to make that money back. So at round 7, it may not be the most prudent choice. We're adding even more hounds. Now, this time, instead of using Mustangs, we actually decided to take range on the hounds. The problem with range, of course, is it actually removes some of the cover for the sabertooth. But I figure with the sabertooth and with the side gun, if I have enough of them, I'll just pop the steel balls before they can do its full damage, as long as I can clear the chaff in front of them. Right, that's the idea. Sparty took armor onto the hounds, knowing that I have Mustangs and expecting me to go double down on Mustangs as a primary chaff clear. That's actually quite smart. The sabertooth with side gun, though, they are actually pretty good into hounds, because this is the tech you take if you want to fight like sledgehammer lines or steel ball lines. So like just like that, right? We're getting rid of multiple hounds already. But once again, the fire is just so devastating, and there's no way that I can effectively stop them. I have so many squads of Mustangs and still not able to completely stop the fire. If these guys were Vulcans, I probably would have a better chance of getting rid of the fire versus if they're hounds. But so far, not too bad. Good round for me. I got a single Mustang here, just trying to get rid of these level 2 Phoenixes. We got boats being offered. We also have scorpions being offered. Boat's a natural choice for my opponent because I'm very strong on the ground, but I was also concerned about a fortress switch. Since he already got the steel balls, so he just needs some cover at the front to keep his hounds alive, and the steel balls can come in and do the damage. Sparty has something else in mind. He's going to go ahead with the Overlord with the launcher, which means it's going to tie up my Mustangs for quite a bit with these missiles. And more hounds are being added down. Level 2 hounds, which means my Mustangs are no longer able to break through these chaff units. And as soon as my Mustangs gets locked onto these hounds, it's bad news, lights out. All right, so the scorpions are being added, but now they're kind of a paperweight, but they are pretty good at just clearing out that initial front line. And so are the sabertooth. I sold my steel balls. I added the nano onto the sabertooth. Allowed them to survive a little bit longer. But these Mustangs in the back, now level 4 with the laser sight, are just a little too strong. And I don't have any Mustangs on my side of the board anymore. All right, so we got some Mustangs on the left-hand side, but on the right-hand side, it's completely fallen. But it might just be enough Mustangs to carry me through this round, though. All right, fantastic. Additional deployment might be a pretty good card since we're both going heavily into small units and we both took the efficient light manufacturing. So we're actually getting profits by taking additional deployment. Started to sell out of my scorpions. Having chaff at the front is pretty detrimental, especially on the ground because of the fire from the hounds. So this will be a new dynamic in headbutts. We're just putting down hounds and putting down incendiary, knowing that there's barely anything that can really stop those rockets aside from a shield. But you don't want to put shield every single round unless going to a fort carry of sorts. Now with the additional deployment, also with the small unit manufacturing, here's my chance to just double down on these AA wasps. This is a risky move, however, because my opponent already has some pretty heavy Mustangs with laser sight, and next turn he could just double down on level 2 Mustangs. But I'm hoping that the wasps themselves will carry me through this round and hopefully do enough damage to my opponent. The hounds are still doing a lot of work. I'm tempted of taking incendiary bomb maybe, but at the same time, right, I'm a little worried that the second round of the incendiary bomb may not actually realize or materialize because my opponent is just a little too strong on front lines. But so far, a huge round for me and is not lethal, which means this turn I can expect lots of blue Mustangs with AA. We got EM, that's going to stop at least a small cluster of units with their technologies. I took incendiary bomb anyways because I want to try to burn some of his Mustangs. Continue to add on even more squads of wasps. Here's a rhino drop onto a level 5 hound. These guys actually do amazing damage. Almost 1500 per shot every 1.6 seconds times 5 units. That's amazing. And it's even better because this hound only costs 300 at level 5. All right, oil gets added, and here's the triple blue Mustangs that I was talking about earlier. All right, so this is going to be a little bit rough. The wasps are still doing their work, but as you can see, there is virtually no chaff on the ground thanks to the fire, which means the blue Mustangs gets to lock onto this wasp very quickly. Now, the good thing is I still have Mustangs on the ground, and I'm still taking down some of his boats. So I wonder if this is enough. We'll see how bad the tower timing is, but now it's not looking too good. It's not lethal just yet for me, but it's not looking too good. The problem with my high-level Mustangs is that they're spending half of their time shooting rockets from a launcher overload boat, which is not great. Okay, not exactly lethal, but we're getting there. Around 11. The final unit drop. Fortress is pretty good. Marksman could also be pretty good. I feel like these are the two choices the two real only viable choices. I took the forts because I needed some tanking right here at the front. I feel like my front line was just melting super fast. And with some tanking, hopefully I can tie them up a little bit. But now thinking about it, maybe the Mustangs might, not the Mustangs, the Marksman might actually be a better choice. The problem with my marksmen, though, on this test server is that they are spec'd for assault mode, which means I don't run AA, which means I'm not really taking the advantage of that technology into boats. All right, so it's going to be forced for the both of us. Let's speed this up. I was wondering why this is so slow. Okay, a very strong board here with Sparty. I think is countering my primary damage source, which are my wasps. And of course, the fortresses, they are doing a bit of tanking, but they're not helping the case with the wasp. They're still getting picked off. I am fairly strong on the left-hand side, but the Mustangs themselves are just being tied up by the rockets. It's going to get a great tower timing, and I think that's going to be game. All right, so quick recap on what we've learned about this new Hound unit. They're amazing on the line. The incendiary bomb is almost impossible to defend unless you put down shield. When you take armor, they become an absolute nuisance because they're essentially sledgehammers with armor, which means your Mustangs, which are, if you're building like the classic 4 Stang, are no longer effective into the Hounds unless you have really high level, but at level 2, they block 120. Even at level 4 Mustang, which does 165, is not able to kill these Hounds very quickly, which means that you need an alternative way of getting rid of them, and that becomes super annoying. The Hounds themselves, I did have an option of taking fire extinguisher, but it didn't make sense in this game because I already took range, and the fire extinguisher requires the Hound to be physically present near the fire, and it clears around 30-meter radius. And that's just not going to happen in this particular game. But yeah, so Hound's pretty good on the front line. Not so much on the standard I found because of his lack of range, but I absolutely love to have them on the front line. This turn, I try to pair it with sabertooth with side gun, but they also work really well with their assault mode marksman and as well as steel balls. And you can very easily and cheaply build a cage using the flanks to overwhelm your opponent on one side of the tower. All right, so that's it for the Hounds for now. We do have the patch coming up next week. And if you like videos like these, please consider subscribing. And if you want to see another video, here's one for you. And I will see you on the next one.
Prepare your tactics. Mechabellum's calling. Deploy your fortress. The battlefield's alive with swarms.